Welcome to West Country Wanderings and welcome to another one in my Severn Way series. Severn Way number 6. Today I'm back in Welshpool in Paris in the country of Wales, but today on this section of the Severn Way we'll actually be leaving Wales. I have Bridge 119 behind me which goes over the Montgomery Canal, and initially we'll be walking alongside part of the Montgomery Canal. I'm going to do a slightly different route today. I'll be diverging away from the official Severn Way, and I'll explain why that is later on. But part of the route, as well as walking alongside the beautiful Montgomery Canal along the towpath here, it'll also be walking across part of Offa's Dyke. I'll explain more about what Offa's Dyke is and the history behind all of that today as well. In terms of logistics today, I'm heading to a little hamlet called Crew Green, which takes us just inside England, just across the Welsh border. Unfortunately, the last bus from Crew Green back to Welshpool, which is where I've driven to today, leaves at 1:30 in the afternoon, which is obviously no use for me filming. So I then have to walk another 3.5 miles to a place called Halfway House to pick up a bus around about 6:20 in the evening to bring me back to Welshpool. Anyway, I hope that'll all become clear. I'll be sticking up maps as we go along our journey today. Sorry about the traffic noise, but as we carry on, we'll be a long way away from traffic and roads and all that kind of thing. So why not join me again here on the Severn Way. The reason for the diversion away from the Severn Way later on in today's route is because I want to be closer to the River Severn. We've had long stretches, particularly last time we were walking a long time alongside the Montgomery Canal. Nice that it is. Obviously the purpose behind this sequence of videos is to show you the Severn, and I wanted to show you more of it. So the Severn Way hugs the Montgomery Canal, but we're going to make our way away from it. There is a bridge there, particularly interesting bridge, cast iron bridge. Also, there was a battle there back in 834, I think, to do with the Saxon kingdom. I'll tell you all about that when we get there. Just going over an aqueduct here at bridge number 118A. So this is the Thledden Aqueduct, put in the exact spelling below for you there. It was actually built in 1796, part of the original construction when the canal, Montgomery Canal, came into through Welshpool. It was actually replaced in 1836 by the existing arrangement with a cast iron trough on cast iron pillars. We also have these lovely railings here. Now the section up here is a wharf, and part of the commercial success, although it wasn't a huge commercial success, the Montgomery Canal, it did have some success, and some of that was to do with lime kilns. And the wharf here was restored, well, initially started being restored in the 70s, and it was a lot more done at the turn of the century, around about 2002, and it's a delightful spot here with the ducks here beside me in the town of Welshpool. The church is just over on that side, and of course this is the wharf here where the goods would have been brought into the town, or the goods would have been taken out of the town. Now the other thing to tell you about in this area is that bridge there. If you're thinking that looks like a railway bridge, well yes, it was once the railway bridge, and it brought in the Welshpool Light Railway right into the heart of the town. In fact, if you go over to where the church is, that section of the town here, you will see that there were rails that ran right into the town centre. There is still a preserved railway here. It runs from a place called Raven Square, just about a mile out of the town centre, and you can run on a miniature railway, a narrow gauge railway. That's the ducks behind me. Steam. I think it goes to a town called Llanfair. Sadly I won't have time to visit that today, but yeah, that was the former Welshpool Light Railway, and I think that went right through in was closed towards the end of the 1950s. I'll put some more information in the subtitles in the usual way below. So the canal, the Montgomery Canal through Welshpool, is a delightful green oasis away from the noise of a busy town centre like Welshpool is, although it is a very pleasant town with some interesting shops as well. Got a stunning hill in front of me. Now I think that marks the start of the Breiden Hills. That's Breidden, and we're going to be seeing lots of those range of hills which will be following us for much of our journey, both in Severn Way 6 and also in Severn Way 7 as we approach the city of Shrewsbury. But yeah, this is a wonderful escape from all the hustle and bustle of modern life, and it must be a sanctuary, like indeed they are canals in other parts of the country. And sadly at this point we've got the A458, so the canal's disappeared in one of those horrible little box bridges, or semi-tunnels if you like, so we've got to cross over the 458, so I'll see you on the other side. So the other side of that A458 busy road, you have what looks like a former winding hole here, possibly still is used as a winding hole, and looks like remains of a wharf here as well. Anyway, we're going to continue along this way in the direction of Buntington Bridge. We're going to diverge away from the official Severn Way. That's the first two narrowboats that I've seen alongside the Montgomery Canal. It's actually part of a place called Huveen Wharf, or Huveen Trust Wharf. It looks like it's a trust. Perhaps they take out children or disabled people, I'm not sure. And but the beautiful, delightful red narrowboats here with large windows to view out beautiful views that you can see here alongside the Montgomery Canal. So this is a kind of a sad parting of the ways. I'm now at Bridge 115. The Severn Way continues along here a bit further until it comes to the site of Strata Marilia Abbey, found in 1170. Well, we're going to diverge away from the towpath now, so it's goodbye, sad I know, to the Montgomery Canal. Make my way up the steps here along the main road towards Buntingford Bridge, while I tell you all about Offa's Dyke, and we'll also then hopefully see Sabrina again. It's so good to see Sabrina again. Hafron, welcome back. The River Severn. So as I say, we're now on Offa's Dyke. We're not on the Severn Way. We're going to be following alongside the River Severn. I thought we'd come to do this bit to get you to see more shots of the River Severn rather than Montgomery Canal. Nice though that is. I've just gone past, or not crossed over though, Buntington Bridge. It was actually replaced an earlier bridge. It's a cast iron, beautiful arch bridge. Got some shots of that, I'll insert that now. Built in 1873, I believe. Now in 893 there was a battle here, probably right on these floodplains here, and what happened was the Danes were blockaded by an allied Welsh force under Mervyn of Powys and 3 separate ealdormen. I'll put the spelling of that, it's really difficult to pronounce, and we do know that from ancient records that there was a battle here and the Danes were actually defeated at this point here in Powys. Now in terms of today's walk, it's about 17.5 kilometres altogether. We've covered about 2.5 kilometres now, though it's a little bit more than I originally planned, because as I say, I wanted to show you this section of the River Severn here. We will be meeting back up with the Severn Way again in about 1.5–2 kilometres time, that way as we follow along Offa's Dyke, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that as we continue our journey. And at that point the Severn Way and the Offa's Dyke are combined, and it tells me in our guidebook I then need to follow the Offa's Dyke path signs rather than the Severn Way ones, because they haven't actually put the Severn Way ones in where you have that duplication of the route. We are a little bit stretched for time today. I had a very early start. I got up about 5. I left just before 6 and I got to Welshpool just at 8 o'clock. It's now already just gone 10 o'clock, so I've got to really press on because we still got about 14.5 kilometres to get to where we need to be today, and then I've got to walk to that bus stop, that 3-mile trek. So here we go. Now at this point it looks like we've lost the River Severn. It's just that it's going in a big meandering loop. The Montgomery Canal again is just up here. We're going to briefly touch that, and that is the point where the Severn Way diverges from it as well. So see you there in a bit. Now when I said that we said goodbye to the Monty, I didn't realise we were going to join up with it again, so that we're following the towpath. So this is the combined towpath, the Montgomery Canal, Offa's Dyke, Severn Way, all the same track. I'm on this unusual lifting bridge. It was probably replaced just a few years ago. I mean, certainly a distant shot of it. I'm just standing right on the bridge now. Sadly the canal is rather green at this point here, and we do have that busy 483 heading over to Shrewsbury. We're going to continue here, and then it should join up with the River Severn again. We've been walking by a delightful section recently. Hopefully we'll follow that as the river meanders its way around. Now this here is Pool Quay, and this is where we finally do say goodbye to the Montgomery Canal. Just noticed there's a sign here, so we've got to move away from the towpath down this section here. Shows that there is a Powys Arms pub as well. I believe you'll be able to get food and drink there. I'm not sure the opening times, if I can find that out in a bit. As I get past it, I'll insert that subtitle. Just have a closer look at the lock here before we do that. Now it's walking down here just to tell you that Pool Quay was where they used to move in and out lime. They used to, during the summer months, they would use the lime kilns in this area, break down the limestone, heat it up to get the lime, and then it would have been shipped out from the wharf here at Pool Quay to the neighbouring farms within a 5–10 mile radius to help fertilise the fields and the soil. Aha, so we've now joined up with the River Severn again. Sorry for the wobbly footage, the terrain here is very, very uneven. just down deep in there. In fact, there's somebody fishing just on the bend there. Got this loop here. The other thing I didn't say about Pool Green, because traffic was a bit noisy around there, and there were some people around there as well, was that Pool Green marked the uppermost extent of the River Severn's navigation. So here, but even then, it was still only navigable here as a Severn-side settlement in the winter months. As you can see, I'll show you some shots in a minute, just how low the River Severn is at this point, because we've had a very dry spell, and as I record this in August 2022, a lot of the water boards are starting to bring in hosepipe bans, including Pembrokeshire and Carmarthenshire through Welsh Water, as I was listening to Radio Wales over the drive over towards Welshpool here this morning. But yeah, this was the upper limit, so there was a settlement here. Very little remains of that settlement. As I say, all you got is the lockkeeper's cottage by the side of the Montgomery Canal. So behind me, should be able to make out somewhere around there Bryden Hill. So we've got the range of Bryden Hills, but the main one, Bryden Hill itself, it's got quarrying on it. And at the top of that is what's known as Rodney's Pillar, named after one Admiral Rodney from the 18th century, should I say, who used timber from Montgomeryshire to build his Royal Navy ships. Now, ironically enough, I was just walking along the Offa's Dyke path, just come to a pile of timber here. Somebody's already chopped up these pieces here, but I don't think these would be suitable at all for building any Royal Navy ships these days, or indeed any days. So although we said we're on the Offa's Dyke footpath, we are literally on the dyke now. I'm on a raised dyke. This is the longest archaeological feature in the whole of Great Britain, and it runs for 296 kilometres. I think I got that right. Might be 276. I'll check it and put it in the subtitle the usual way. Brain's gone dead with all the walking. And it runs from near Chepstow, Segbert, I can't remember. Something beginning with Sed, S-E-D. I can't remember the last part of it. Near Chepstow in South Wales, what used to be Gwent. And it makes its way north all the way through the country of Wales to Prestatyn in North Wales. And yeah, you have this feature here. So why was it built? Well, Offa was the ruler of the English kingdom between 757 and 796. And legend had it, he had this dyke built, but for what purpose, no one really knows. There are bits of it where the dyke doesn't build. In fact, part of the footpath we just crossed over there doesn't seem to be any dyke. And rumour has it that where the Severn offered protection, a division between England and Wales, although it doesn't here, because it's still Wales the other side of the River Severn at this point, he didn't actually build the dyke. But as to the exact reason why it was built, as I say, who knows? If you have a theory of your own, please drop it in the comments below. Now, I'm just inserting a clip now. What looks like another dyke which crisscrosses Offa's Dyke. You think it had competition? No. It was a former railway line. I don't know where it headed to. All I know, I've just seen by the OS map, is it says a disused railway line. You can clearly make it out, as I say, from the raised embankment here across what obviously is the River Severn's floodplain. That's why it makes it tricky doing the Severn Way come the winter time. Hopefully we're going to be okay later on, but there may be disruption continuing later on as we go into the winter months, so don't expect me to get into Bristol anytime soon. There was a railway line, so say it came out of Welshpool, it's heading north. I don't know where it went to. I will look that up and I'll insert that the usual way as a subtitle below, and I'll include the opening date and its closing date. Now, as we've got closer to Bryden Hill, you can see how the tree line has been denuded. Still looks like it's been used for forestry, and it's from that area and other areas as well. I would imagine that Admiral Rodney would have got his timber supply from this part of the Wales for the Royal Navy fleet. But you can also make out, I haven't got my telephoto lens so I can't do a close-up of it. I was trying to travel light today, but you can just make out that there's certainly quarrying that it either takes place now or certainly taken place in recent times there. Just get a sense how meandering the River Severn here is at this point. I'll just insert a clip I've just done. It's going scooping right out there. I've just come off slightly off the Offa's Dyke, the dyke itself should I say, onto what is obviously the floodplain. But yeah, it's going in there and back in an arc and back out again. So if you literally followed the River Severn all the way, it would be much longer to get there, and it certainly isn't going in a straight line. It won't be going in a straight line anytime soon till we're well past the other side of Shrewsbury, and then it makes its way south, as we said, through Worcestershire and Gloucestershire down into South Gloucestershire and Bristol. And when it becomes much more straight, of course there is a large bend in Gloucestershire around Arlingham. It's called the Arlingham Loop, but for the most part it's just going through the lower part of Shropshire, round through Bridgnorth, down through past Highley and Arley, down towards Kidderminster, Town of Bewdley. I'm really looking forward to doing that section. It's straighter. I say not completely straight, but it's certainly straighter, and obviously it's still in its younger stages here at this point here in Powys in mid Wales. So we're still walking along the actual part of the Offa's Dyke. Severn is just to my right, just behind there, in there, and we come to a place called Rhyddysgyn. I'll put in the spelling of that pronunciation was probably completely wrong, so apologies. And we diverge away from the River Severn slightly, not too far, at that point near a place called the Red House. I'm hoping to make good time. In terms of kilometres, I've just checked my OS map. As I say, it was 17.5 kilometres at the start, but probably a little bit more because we had that diversion around the bridge that I showed you by the River Severn. And it says we've got 10 kilometres left to go, so I guess we've probably done about 8 kilometres. We're not quite yet halfway. We'll be coming to a place called Landrino. It's 11:30 now, so I'm hoping, if possible, I can get there for about 1:30. So I'd like to stop there for lunch and also have a bit of a time to have a look around the village there. And I think we'll have about 6 kilometres to do to the end of this section of Severn Way. 6 after Landrino, but we'll see how we go, and I'll keep you updated with progress. Now, remember I said about Bryden Hill and the quarrying taking place. You can just see some, looks like quarrying buildings and some dust rising up from the end of the field. So maybe there's some blasting taking place or grinding of stone that are being extracted from the side of the hill. So it looks like it's very much an active process. There is another white building alongside the River Severn. I don't know if that's a pumping station or a water treatment works. If I can get a better shot of that and give you some more information, then I'll drop that in the usual way below. So that's a section I was telling you about earlier. That is the hamlet of Rhyddysgyn and what's known as Red House, and it looks like it is a red house or a red farmhouse. And we've now moved away from the Severn. It's doing its meandering bit at the foothills of the Bryden Hills, but we're going to make our way this way along to the village of Landrino. On this side here you get a real scale of the amount of quarrying that's taken place and still takes place here on the side of Bryden Hill by the banks of the River Severn. It looks like the whole side of the hillside has been exploded to extract the rock. Extraordinary sight. Oh, this is a really nice touch. One of the local villagers or in the hamlets around here has placed these homemade cakes. I think they're date and walnut, £1 for a slice. Sadly I can't eat them because I'm gluten free, but that's a really nice gesture, and £1 is an absolute bargain. So as you're doing your walk you can just grab a slice of cake and then you can continue on your way. You can just get a feel for how little water, how little it's rained. If you remember, cast your minds back to Severn Way 1, when I had snow and torrential rain on the top of Mount Plymouth when I was searching for the source. If you haven't seen that one, go and check that out. It was a very different climate, and the whole of the landscape was very green at the time here, but obviously the grass, the moment in early August in 2022, it's very dry. We haven't had rain for weeks and weeks. And you can see just how low the water level is in the River Severn there below. This is quite extraordinary behind me. It's like a mechanised sluice gate for a drainage system. Obviously offers dike and offers some protection from the Severn when it floods. And this is obviously to allow water in when we have rain. We haven't had rain because it's dry as a bone underneath my feet in the little concrete adit that's just below there at the moment. But obviously when we have periods of heavy rain, this will act as a barrier to be open and closed to allow water in and out across the fields here as the farmer needs them. So good to have the, where is it, River Severn, it's in there, I'll do a clip, I superimposed it across my voice. Good to have the Sabrina again. Well, it's always been next to me, or near this on this section since we left the Montgomery Canal. But the trouble is, it's been either hidden by hedges or another part of a dike system to give it some flood prevention. But yeah, running alongside us here on a meandering curve, but it's really deep set in there, as I say, because of the very low rainfall. We're now approaching Landrino. It's about half a kilometre away. In terms of progress, we're making good progress. It says I've only got 5.5 kilometres to complete the walk today to Crew Green. It's not complete because I've still got to walk to that bus stop, if you remember, at Halfway House, which is about another 5 kilometres after I finish Severn Way 6. Just before we go into Landrino, it just says on the OS map that there was a Motte and Bailey, so a castle here, probably Landrino Castle. I can't see much here, just a slight indentation in the field there, so there's not a lot to show you, I'm afraid. But yeah, that was the site, presumably, of Landrino Castle. If I've got any more information, I will put that in, you know, this format by now. But yeah, we can see that hill behind me as well. It just looks, wow, there you can see that scarp at the edge there that has been taken away by the quarrying. But the village itself, it's only a small little place just up through this way. So that there, somewhere there, again I'll superimpose it, that's Landrino Bridge over the River Severn. Beautiful red sandstone bridge. If you're a bridge aficionado like me, that's just a lovely design, isn't it? I'm not sure the year it was built. It's probably about 200 or 300 years old. I'll find out and drop that in the usual way. The bridge was actually built in 1775. There was a Roman crossing point here as well, and these concrete blocks were put here to stop any potential invasion from the Nazis during the Second World War. Finally get to sit down. First chance I've had to sit down on the entire route. It says, according to my OS map app, we've got 4.8 kilometres. I'm sat here in the churchyard of Landrino. We'll just have a look at the church shortly. After I leave here, we're going to make our way back towards that sandstone bridge and across that to complete our journey today. And of course, I still got that 5.5 kilometres to walk to the bus. I did actually see the final bus. There was one or two buses a day here from which goes through here and Crew Green, and then that's it. I think the final one leaves at 1:30, which makes planning logistically to walk the Severn Way quite tricky on this section. We've been fortunate we had the railways that we used at Welshpool, Newtown and Casous, of course, but you don't have that luxury here. I've just taken my boots off too, just to get some air to my feet, because I've been pacing the route out quite a bit. It's 10 to 2 now, so hope to get to Crew Green for about 3 o'clock ish, and then I'll do a final piece of camera there and wrap the video up today. But before we do that, we'll have a tour of the church here. Been really enjoying this walk here today, because we've been seeing a lot more of the Severn Way. We did on Severn Way 1, obviously, when we walked up through the Haffron forest to where the spring came out on the top of Mount Plinlimmon. But the other sections, there's only been bits either at the start or the end, but we've actually followed the Severn Way, or the River Severn, shall I say, for quite a bit along the Severn Way, stroke Offansdyke. We will be leaving Offansdyke shortly though as well. And yeah, it's a fantastic little village here, really, really quiet. And I say, I'll just go and show you the church. I just had a little bite to eat and some water to keep me going. To see you in a bit. So we've got a section here which is very, very dense terrain in terms of the grass. It really is quite thick, and you can hear the grass breaking just beneath your feet. It really is that dramatic. I just insert a little clip of just the camera going through the grass as well at a slightly lower angle, but you kind of get the effect. And there's also thistle, so yeah, we're back into familiar, difficult Severn Way terrain. I think we were very lucky with that Offansdyke bit because it's a shared trail, and that's also a national trail, but I think it's probably more prominent than the Severn Way, so perhaps it gets a bit more attention in terms of the styles being better maintained and better signage. But here, yeah, it was kind of the neglected Severn Way path that we're used to, full of humps and dumps. And back there was a very muddy section as well, because the farmer let a tap still just running through the field. I don't know what's the point of that is. It seems a waste in these days of drought, so you had to negotiate a muddy section, which is really ironic considering, oh, there it goes down again, considering we're in days of drought. Anyway, we're only about 2.5 k's off Crew Green now. Not quite sure where I'm supposed to go here, but I'll find out and see the other side. Right, well, I've made an executive decision. I've decided that the bank here is just far too overgrown. We've got thistles, no kidding, up to my shoulders. And I'd be surprised if I was the only person, or I wouldn't be surprised if I was the only person to have walked that section of the Severn Way this entire year. It's completely overgrown. I've no idea why. I'm definitely on the right route. It definitely is the Severn Way, but the maintenance on this section is horrendous and it hasn't been maintained for many years. So I'm walking through this field, so I do apologise if you're the landowner, but if you own that and you haven't maintained it, well, you've left me with no choice. So I will fire up an email to Paris Council, because we haven't got across into the English border yet, because that's for a national trail, that's really quite appalling for it to be left in that state, and it's virtually unpassable. Anyway, we'll continue undiminished, about 2 kilometres to our destination to go. Well, that's random. It's just started to rain here. It's not been forecast to rain. It's not much. It's actually quite pleasant. It hasn't rained for seems like ages. Well, certainly not back where I live in Gloucestershire part of things anyway. Yeah, a bit of rain here, but it's good because it's cooling me down. I'm not sure what the temperature is today, probably about 20, 21. I think it's forecast to get up really hot again. I'm not looking forward to that, because when that happens, it means I can't film. I can't film when it's in the 30s. It's just too hot to get out and about. But I don't know when the next one of Severn Way will be. I'll do it when I'm able to do it, but there will be one, but I don't know when it will be. And I've looked at the map and I've given you a little bit of misinformation, because I thought Severn Way 7 would take us into Shrewsbury. In fact, it won't. It will take us from Crew Green to Montford Bridge, so that'll be 7, and 8 will take us from Montford Bridge to English Bridge in Shrewsbury, and then 9 will be the one where I just solely focus on Shrewsbury itself. So I've no idea how many videos are going to be in the series of the Severn Way. Quite a few, I would say, by the time I get to Bristol, but I will continue making them as and when I'm able to do so. Well, this is a rather delightful stretch of the River Severn on the approach to Crew Green. Just there, it's just magnificent. I'll just do a close-up of that for you. I've just seen a heron take off from there, and also an egret, and got those swans down that way as well. So it's a real haven for wildlife at this spot here on the banks of Afon Hafren. Now, you may recall in Severn Way 2, when we got to Llandudno, we had the joining of the rivers. And we had the joining of the rivers again in front of me here, just running, and towards the closest part of the camera is Afon Hafren, the River Severn, good old Sabrina. And at this point, this precise point, you can see there's like a V there, V of land, joined by another river. That river is the River Severn. I'll put it in below. And there you have a combination of the two as it goes around there, and you'll notice from this point the river becomes much wider here at Crew Green. Now, this rather unassuming road bridge behind me, which has probably been, I don't know, 50s or 60s or something, it's not particularly attractive. In fact, it's got evidence of rusting, so it's probably going to need some attention before too long. It carries a minor road, but the other side of that road is England. And this is the point where we leave Wales and head into England to continue along the Severn Way. Now, my parting shot today will be me walking across this bridge into England, but it's not the end of the journey, because I need to walk into Crew Green and then do another, I think it's about 3.5, 4 miles, something like that, to catch my bus at a place called Halfway House. I will drop at some point the information about the bus that I've used to catch. As I say, the last bus from Crew Green back to Welshpool left at 1:30, and it's now well gone 3:30, so I need to make tracks. I hope you've enjoyed Severn Way Part 6 today. I certainly enjoyed it, apart from the bits where you couldn't get through it because of the bramble thistle and the state of the stars. Well, again, that's part of the course, isn't it, with the Severn Way? I think we should be used to that by now. But yeah, the scenery has been spectacular, and it's been great to see real parts of the River Severn, much more so than we have had or haven't had since we did part 1 of the Severn Way. So part 7 of the Severn Way would be from here back at Crew Green to Montford Bridge. I've no idea how I'm going to do the logistics of that yet, how I'm going to get here and back and all that kind of stuff. I've got to work all that out. Probably be another couple of weeks before I'm able to be up here again anyway. But until then, there's plenty of other content on my channel. There'll be other videos coming up as well. And if you hit subscribe and hit the bell on YouTube, well, I'll tell you then the next Severn Way one lands, and indeed any other video lands on my channel as well. I've also got the Facebook group West Country Wanderings, but the details of that below. If you go onto Facebook, if you're on Facebook, put in West Country Wanderings, my group will come up, click on join, and I'll come along and invite you along to that, and then you're welcome to share photographs, videos of all kinds of places in the West Country region that I cover on my channel. Take care. See you soon. Bye bye for now.